Hi again, boys and girls. Today we're going to be doing subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. So the textbook pages are 310 and 311, and the workbook page is 114. Now this is basically the same thing as adding, except instead of adding, we're going to be subtracting. But the steps that you take are the same, and good news, it's a little bit easier because as we know, when we subtract, we make smaller numbers, not larger numbers. So we're not going to have improper fractions as answers. So there's none of that you have to worry about. So let's get into the first one. We're going to do 2/3 minus 1/6. Okay, so again, the first step is the same. You have to find the least common multiple of the denominators. So right now we have 6 and 3 as the denominators. So we have to see the common multiple. So we look at the larger one, which is 6, and we ask ourselves, is 6 a multiple of 3? Check our list or your multiplication chart. 3, 6. Yes, it is a multiple of 3. So we can leave this fraction the same. We're only going to change the top one. So we multiply. 3 times what is going to give us 6? That's easy, 3 times 2. Whatever we do the bottom, we do the top. 2 times 2 gives us 4. Now we have both fractions with the denominator of 6. So we rename them 4/6 minus 1/6. Okay. Once they're the same, we keep the same 6 as a denominator, and we just subtract the 4 and the 1, the two numerators, the top. 4 minus 1 gives us 3, so our answer would be 3/6, and all we need to do now is simplify. Again, what is the greatest common factor of 3 and 6? What number can we divide both of them by to simplify? 3. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. 3 divided by 3, 1. 6 divided by 3, 2. So our final answer is 1/2. Okay, let's try another one. Again, you should be listening to the explanation, and then now in the next ones, once we write them, you should pause the video, try to solve them, and then start playing the video again to check if you did it right. Okay, so let's try this one. 9/10 minus 1/2. Again, find the least common multiple of the denominators, so the 10 and the 2. So 10 is larger, we think, is 10 a multiple of 2? Yes, it is. So that one's going to stay like that. Excuse me, we're going to rename this one to be a 10th. 2 times what gives me 10? 2 times 5. Whatever we do on the bottom, we do the same on the top. 1 times 5 gives me 5. Now they have the same denominator. I'm ready to do the next step, which is 9/10 minus 5/10. The denominator stays the same, 10. And we subtract. 9 minus 5 equals 4. We need to simplify it. 4 and 10. What can we divide both of those by? What is a common factor of 4 and 10? Well, the common factor would be 2. Whatever we do on the top, we do on the bottom. So we divide both of them by 2. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. 2/5 is my final answer in simplest form. Okay, let's try another one. Remember, you can use a multiplication chart with the multiples or make a list like I did of the multiples to help you find the least common multiple, the LCM. So this one's going to be 11/12 minus 1/4. Okay, 12 and 4, they're unlike. We need to make them the same. So we look at the larger one, 12, and we ask, is 12 a multiple of 4? 4 times anything, give me 12. We know the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12. There it is. So yes, we're going to rename it to 12ths. 4 times what gives me 12? 3. Whatever we do the bottom, we do the top. 1 times 3 gives me 3. So now we've renamed it. So it's going to be 11 twelfths minus 3 twelfths. The 12 stays the same. And I subtract 11 minus 3, which is 8. Now we need to simplify. 8 and 12, what can we divide both of them by? We could divide both of them by 2, but remember we're trying to find the greatest common factor, the biggest number we can divide them both by. So let's think of a bigger number. We can also divide them both by 4. Whatever we do on the top, we do on the bottom. Right? 8 divided by 4 gives me 2, and 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. So my final answer is 2/3. Now let me show you something. What would happen if you divided it by 2? 2 is a common factor of both numbers, but we need to find the biggest one, because this is why. Watch. If we divide them both by 2, 8 divided by 2 gives me 4, and 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. Now I look at this fraction, 4/6. Is that simplest form? No. I can still divide them by another 2 and 2 again. So instead of doing just one step, I'm going to have to do it 2 times to get the simplest form, which would, at the end, be the same, 2/3. So you could do it this way, but you're going to have to do more steps. If you just do it by the greatest common factor, the largest number that they can both be divided by, then you're only doing it 1 time. So make sure that you check before you decide it's the final answer, because if you did it by accident, you thought, 2, that's a factor, fine. But then you have to check this fraction that you got, is that in simplest form? And it's not, because 4 and 6 can both be divided by 2. So just make sure that you don't skip that part. All right, let's do one more. I think this one's gonna be your favorite one. 1/3 minus 2/6. Again, we need to make them the same, so we find the least common multiple of 6 and 3. The larger one, is 6 a multiple of 3? Yes, it is. So we leave that one alone. We're only going to rename this one. 3 times what gives me 6? 2. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do the top. 1 times 2 gives me 2. So I rename them to 6 minus 2/6. The denominator is the same, so it's going to be 6. 2 minus 2 is going to give us 0. Is that how you write that? No, you just write 0. So if you see that the fractions are both the same, you automatically know you're going to end up with 0. You have 2/6, and I have 2/6, and we're taking the same thing away, we're going to end up with 0. 2/6 minus 2/6, 0, right? So that's it. You don't have to do anything else. Okay? Any questions? Go back, watch it again, and take your time. Take a break. Have a good day.